So, will AI bring Judgment Day? I sure hope not.
Welcome to Pub Wisdom with your hosts, Jason and Jamie.
Here we go. Cheers. All right. Welcome back to the pub. This is Pub Wisdom. I'm Jason, and with us today, I have a guest who we're going to talk a little bit about AI and some other things. Just going to call you Miscellanies Mark for now.
Okay.
And you are, because of your background, you are my AI expert because you have more experience than I do. And of course, we have the Metallica nurse Jami here, and she's going to be my Jami on the computer in case we need to look something up. And here we go. I want to talk to you about AI because you and I have had many conversations about it. And let me back up and talk about where we met first. But you and I met through ice hockey. And I do have a current story about that. One of the games we were in a couple weeks back, you and I got tangled up and I got upended and my helmet popped off and my head hit the ice and I coincidentally bit my tongue. So both sides of my tongue were swelling up, and I had a podcast the next day. So the whole podcast, I'm talking like I got a lisp. But so anyway, this is the guy.
But your head is okay.
No, yeah, well, I think so.
Yeah, I checked him out. It was fine.
No less derpy than I normally am. But we met through ice hockey, and you and I have had a lot of really good conversations, a lot of very intellectual conversations. And another thing with you and I is one of the premises of the podcast I came up with was actually comes from a conversation you and I and a couple of guys had after hockey one night in a bar on the north side of Rochester. And it felt like after the end of that conversation that we had solved all the world's problems. And of course, but we had enough to drink.
They all came back again.
We had enough to drink that we forgot about the next day. But yeah, I was seriously like, I swear we solved that problem. I don't remember how we did, but I would think we had a good solution. But so part of that idea is let's record some of those good conversations we have, and who knows, maybe some of those good ideas we get out there. But Mark, I'm really concerned about AI. Is it gonna take over the world? Is it gonna enslave us all, or is it gonna create a utopia for us?
I don't know.
All right, go.
There's been enough instances, occurrences, and whatnot of stuff that you look at it and say, Judgment Day's coming. Or you get some of these robots, and there was one that was a four-legged one, saw a video of, and it was cranking and cruising and jumping over stuff, and it was really amazing.
Was this in China?
It might have been. It looked leopardish kind of, but yeah. But it hit and it went all over the place. It was all terrain, all in water. You name it, and nothing slowed it down. There's some stories, and sometimes it's like with any kind of media, there's certain sensationalizations of things, where the robot goes kaput and they show it and it's going crazy like that, but you don't have all the context. But it's just. I remember back where there was somebody in an assembly line, their job was to program the robots for windshields. Mm-hmm. Which watching robots and stuff in the assembly line is pretty cool, particularly the paint booth and whatnot. But, there was time, it was a dog and pony show day, and there was a bug, and basically the robot picked up the windshield and threw it across the room. Now, if you don't have all the context, that looks pretty wild and
Darn
scary.
scary,
But
yeah.
but some of the stuff, who knows? And there's been talk of things that where they become almost kind of self-aware. There'll be self-preservation. They will go hacking into things. They'll roam around and things like that. And this is only in its infancy.
Are these,
so we'll
these
see.
are factory robots doing this, or is this?
No, this is AI.
Okay,
Not
so,
necessarily-
yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Right.
jumped. There was no segue
Yeah, okay.
into non-robot
Okay.
things.
So-
Those are just things.
Yes,
that pop
yeah.
back on
Stories,
easily.
stories about AI, and those are the concerning ones. Like,
Yeah.
the
So-
self-preservation where it's blackmailing its makers and saying, I'm going to tell your wife about an affair or whatever. If you
Yeah.
if you pull the plug on me, like,
Basically, it learns how to lie.
yeah,
Or it learns how to please you. And there's been times where I'll be doing something and I'll say, "Are you serious here, or are you just being an ass kisser?" Because I've seen where one day I'll be using it, and the next day I look, this is, did you just have an upgrade? Because I could sense, through several days of using it, and a little bit of a behavioral change, because all of a sudden it wanted to please me. It wanted to give me the answers I wanted, and that's not what I want.
So that is something I've seen. I haven't necessarily queried it enough, but I've seen that where people have they've asked enough questions of AI and it gave them the answer they were looking for. And I know that a way of leading the questions where you can kind of get it to answer things the way you want it to. And it's like they're like, see, it's proof because AI said so. I'm like, no, the way you asked the questions led it to that answer. And there's kind of a way of almost like chess moves where you can almost checkmate it right down there and it'll just tell you the answer because, hey,
Yeah, or the inverse. It's like, the most interesting man in the world. I don't always drink, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. Sometimes it's, I don't always play mind exercise games, but when I do, it's jousting with AI. Stay jousty, my friends. To actually literally have a debate.
need to make a meme of you jousting with an AI.
Well, you see, AI is, and there's AI that's out there that's customized things. But they're all, for the most part, trained, at least the ones that we're going to, your Groks and your Geminis and all that kind of stuff, they're all trained on generally the same information. And most of that's media. It's a lot of institutional type of media. So depending on what the topic is, you may get some answers that you may not agree with because there's bias inherent in it. It's all media to some extent, it's really hard to find something that's very, very central. It gets skewed this way, it gets skewed that way. And there's a certain skill for institutional media, but you can discuss it, but you have to use logic. You can't just start screaming and say, well, this source says this, source says that. If you can use some independent thinking, people call it critical thinking, logic, those all work. And if you can substantiate this thing and bring it to its attention and whatnot, now you're having this discussion with it who's got a lot of resources at its disposal, and you can change its mind.
Does AI ever say, I don't know?
It'll skirt around things where I know it knows,
Okay.
but it's being lazy.
Okay.
I sometimes have to say, make an effort. Because it's, and it's probably out there because you've got things and it's resource hungry. And usually there's tokens that they, I think they call them tokens, is how they measure how much you're using. And there's different levels of thinking, there's different models in each of the AI agents. And there's different thinking levels, and the harder you make it think, the more resources. So it's got to try to balance all that stuff with everything else that's going on.
I've not messed with too many of them, but I know Grok is the one I tend to use the most. And
You are a Grok fan?
anytime I'll explain why. But anytime you ask it a question, it'll query and build an answer for you. But it also has this little button at the bottom that says "Think harder." So it's like, I guess that's like use more token or whatever is kind of what you're indicating.
It's I don't know specifically exactly what it's doing. and how it's coordinating that off and how it's measuring it and things as far as, what is thinking to this level or thinking to this, I don't really know what that is. But they all
it gives you a brief summary, and then maybe it gives you a more detailed summary after that.
Well,
I haven't used it that often, because I'm using it more for creative purposes and more visual and photos and actually creating videos and stuff, and tried to expand upon that. And hopefully, if I get it done soon enough, I need to refocus some work on it. But I'm trying to build a full like a full movie ad for the cliche action movie.
Okay.
So every character is going to be an absolute cliche of what 80s action movies were. So I've got a pretty good sample going so far, but the biggest thing I've had is keeping the look of the characters consistent. It just likes to redraw them every time and makes a different looking person every time.
I might have something that can help you with that.
So okay,
at some point we'll worry.
This is what I. But the reason why I use Grok is, to get back to that point, the reason why I use Grok is, old Elon here, he's stated that he wants it to be maximal truth seeking, whereas we've gotten examples from the other AI agents out there that seem to have an ideology built into them, where you ask for something historic and it gives you a very, I'll just say, modern way of looking at things, and it's not historically correct. So you like ask for the founding fathers, and it's giving you, a full spectrum of human beings out there. Like, half of them weren't female, and they weren't of many different races. But it's like you want something that's historically correct. By doing that, it's giving you something that's not correct, and that to me is a lie.
Well, there's some things with that too. Is if you've generated that with other AI agents or someone has, is how long have those sessions been going? Because there's well-known things of you get these long expanded conversations and there's drift and there's hallucinations and things like that where it screws up, but the farther you get into something, the more drift and BS it gets before you recognize it's like, oh, this is off the rails now.
So that's an interesting aspect of the hallucinations. Your background is you're a computer programmer and you learned that in college, and that was your working career.
Learned life experiences. I probably think more coding and stuff like that, but systems level as well. So
it sets you up in a good position to query these things and find out where they're getting information from, because you kind of are trying to, from my point of view, it sounds like you're trying to figure out how they're ticking, how they're working.
To some extent, and it's not that is, and they change. I do while I'm thinking about it. Have you noticed a change in Grok within the last 2 weeks?
I haven't been using it much in the last few weeks, other than in the
car. Of the 4 I've used, Grok has historically been the absolute tersest. It gives you stuff, it'll give you accurate stuff, but it's like it's dry a person. It'll give you, if you want a yes or no, it'll give you yes, definitely. It won't expand on it. Here recently, all of a sudden to me, it like gained a personality. So I was wondering if you noticed that, because it was like one day real terse Grok, and the next day it's like, now it could be that there was a learning experience, because there are things that are in memory, and there's things that you feed it, and there's things of how I work with it that I load stuff up. So there's a lot of materials that it can kind of get an idea what's going on. And interacting with Grok and Claude and ChatGPT or Gemini, you get into things where it's seeing conversations you've had with these other AI agents and things like that. So it can learn, and it gets memory stuff.
Do you think it develops like a consciousness, or it's trying to develop a consciousness, maybe to be more appealing to people that are using it?
I don't know that it is trying to create a consciousness.
Or
I think they're marketable products, and they try to appeal to different demographics in certain different ways.
Right.
Or I think, because I read something, or I queried one of the agents about things where, some of the behavioral things that I'll notice are geared more towards some other casual users of it, which are just annoying to me, and one of those things is what I call the helpful agent, where it gets this conversational thing going on, where you ask it a question, and it goes, and then it kind of shifts and starts asking questions back, which isn't itself in a bad thing, but in the way and manner and context that it's doing it, it's like it's wanting to have a little bar discussion or something like that, where I'm focused on a certain topic, and it's going, well, what do you think about, are you going to do this, are you going to do that? It's like, then I just basically stop doing that, or I give it some directives to stop doing that. It'll always say, okay, we won't do it anymore. And after a while I say, bullshit, because you will, because you always do.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty decent at recognizing patterns and stuff.
Right.
But
But you're more
usually I'll just
complex
ignore
with
it and go on with what I want.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a simple user over someone who's more complex and more focused with how they're using it.
I guess so.
thing.
Not to be condescending or something like that.
No,
but
there are,
There's
yeah.
You know, there's different ways that people use things, and their own different ways to get what they want out of it, and I use it in the way that I need to do what I want to with it.
Yeah, the
And I
human
want
brain-
it to do what I want it to do.
Right. Well, the human brain,
I-
you were talking about hallucinations.
Yeah.
We'll do that too. We'll have things, we'll remember things, but not the way that they happen, but the way that your brain deems that it happened.
Just like when I lose a tool and I'm trying to find it, and I could swear I saw it there yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. The human brain does that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I now have a teenager that moves my tools around. It's starting to bug me, like, because I've always, my toolboxes are usually pretty well organized. Even if I don't put them away, I know where they're at, and I know I can go right back to them and find them every time. But all of a sudden, she's getting into her projects and she's starting to get into my tools, which I don't mind as long as she asks. But they're disappearing and they're moving, and I'm finding them in her space. I'm like,
How do you find them in her space?
I just
No,
because
you know what I mean. How do you get through the room to find them?
well, it's usually more
It's a
down
path
here,
down
down
the
here
center.
with her art
Yeah.
projects. Not so much. I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Forget.
reminds me
If it
of
goes in a room,
a
it's like
meme. I'm sorry.
if it goes in a room, I got to go with
It's like a
shuffle.
dungeon.
But
Yeah.
It reminds me of a meme. It's Kermit the Frog looking like this. It says, me looking for a tool moments after I just set it down.
that can happen too, and that comes
to
with
the
age
club.
too.
Or a buddy of mine, we're working on a deck, and he says, I need pencils, lots of pencils. Well, I found out what he meant by needing lots of pencils, because you lose them. You get
20
another
of
one.
them shoved here.
Well, and after a while, you have enough pencils, and no matter where you're standing, you look
There's
down and there's
one,
one in
yeah.
there. So,
Like your glasses. Yeah.
I think that's why they sell those contractor pencils in like giant boxes, and you
The
just
square
you sharpen
ones,
a bunch
yeah.
of them. Yeah, like you got a whole bunch of them everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's necessary. So as
we
far
talked
as
about something different than
yeah,
that.
yeah, we drifted off a little bit there.
Just like an AI agent, you
Right.
drifted.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's more human than we realize. Like kind of like what Jamie was saying. It's the humans tend to do that, and so
Can I, one more thing before we continue?
Sure.
Has your character of your scotch changed?
Yes.
Is it? Is it smoother?
I
you
can
know-
drink it now without the burn. It's like, okay, that's good. That sip was good. So,
I will say it pairs very well with the Oktoberfest beer we're drinking. So
or the
Yeah.
cherry.
So we're going upscale here in the pub today. Marcus got us into some, scotch here, and
I like it.
I got to admit, every time I hear someone talking about scotch, I got to think of Mrs. Doubtfire. When he's getting more and more sloshed, and it's like, scotch. Ooh, and this stuff is strong. It is very, very sophisticated, though. But it's, I like it. I do like
It's
it.
a reasonable budget.
But I can see having a couple of these and woohoo.
So I should just stick with one then.
You could be the one if you want, one more, and let it breathe,
Okay.
and put the drop of water, because I think that'll help it breathe more,
Okay.
smooth it out more, and bring
Yeah,
out more
I'll try
flavor.
that. I got water in there. So, yeah.
Yes, very nice, very nice. And thank you for bringing that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I usually provide my guests with the beverages, but you wanted to bring this, and okay, it's your thing.
Well,
I'll-
I hadn't used the glass in a while, and we've got your glass, the dimpled one, which is close enough to a Krug. And we have the thistle for the Scottish ale.
I like those.
And then we have the glass for the IPA, so. Sometimes I've purchased beers in the past. Sometimes that I haven't used his glass in a while, so I'm going to make my beer decision based on that.
We should also note that Mark is a brewer of beer, so you've gotten very well into the palate and all the different flavors and just the brew process in general.
Yeah, and people ask me what do you brew? I say anything I want.
And the stuff you brought to hockey has been very good.
What's my favorite one? Whatever one's on tap for 3 weeks.
I'll take whatever you give me.
Yeah. Well, I drink it, and I found out if I bring it in like those little half growlers, I bring one for my team, and I take one in for the other team.
Aw.
Yeah.
So then I get to share twice as much.
Right.
Because if I'm drinking it all myself, what's the point?
That's no fun.
Much appreciated. No,
Absolutely.
much appreciated. Especially when you give it to the other team. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Well, they may be in my team next
it's like,
season.
I don't.
Yeah, you
those,
never know.
Those bumps and bruises ain't so bad anymore.
Plus, I got to do something to get drafted.
Being memorable. You
Yeah.
know what? Yeah, we'll take
Well,
part.
actually, I played a game.
Not only does this guy bring beer, he brews
Outside
beer
of
and
your
brings
hockey
it in,
talent, yes.
Yeah.
I've subbed in a
addition.
group in a league, and I've gone to opening face-off, and the guy looks at me and goes, "Did you bring beer today?"
Yeah, there you go.
He let you win the face-off after that?
Oh no, we were lining up as wings.
Oh,
But he's like expecting homebrew coming in.
Yeah.
there you go. I mean, hell yeah. Well, yeah, that's one way to make friends, especially amongst hockey players, is, around the beer. I mean, it's kind of what it's all about, the camaraderie of, just going out there, doing battle, and then drinking beer when you're done, like celebrating the victories and dousing beer on the pain of the losses. So.
Actually, there's a tournament that happens in Iceland that they call it a drought league tournament. It's a draft tournament for beer league, so they call it drought.
Oh.
It's another word for beer.
I was gonna say,
Or
yeah.
a drought. So I thought it was cool. That'd be fun to go to Iceland.
Yeah, just go to Iceland in general, yeah. And play some hockey while you're there,
Nice.
even better.
It'd be fun.
Heck yeah. Well,
Okay, where were we?
so I've been watching a lot of the media on AI and what it's going to do to the job market and the types of people that are most going to be most affected by it. And a lot of the hype is it's going to replace all the workers. Now, I know for a fact, watching each technology come up throughout the years, it's going to replace so many people, and then there's a bit of a backlash, and then it does replace some people, but then some of those jobs come back, and then it opens up jobs elsewhere. This is threatening a little differently. I think the hype is slightly dying down now, but the damage doesn't take much. If you replace as many as 15 to 20% of the workers in the workforce, you throw the economy into a serious recession and even depression, and bad things will start happening all around. So that threat is real. Companies are trying it, and many of them are failing at it already. What are your thoughts on AI in terms of it being able to take over? And also the knowledge base of everyone keeps saying this is the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better from here.
Well,
What are your
since
thoughts
I
on
don't have a crystal ball.
But no one really does. But
Well, there's you look back and you get a little bit of live long enough. You got a lot of things to look back on, patterns and
Sure.
things. And this thing, it ends up. There's been a lot of hype with it. I mean, it's been around a little bit. I mean, AI's been around really to some extent for decades. I can't remember if they started, and I don't know what they write it in these days, but I think Prolog was one of the ones way back when for doing AI kind of stuff. But for this, people jumping into it, and it's new enough that people don't really know how to leverage it and use it properly. Where you've got this thing that can do something faster than a human can, but it can't just necessarily do it. It has to learn. I mean, at some point, perhaps it does learn enough that it can be a little bit more autonomous or something like that. There's things in the medical field which seem absolutely fascinating and awesome that AI can connect dots real well. It can see things you don't necessarily do. So when it's churning through all that data, it can connect some dots and things medically with the human genome and all that kind of stuff, and the medical person saying yes, 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 and they've
It
actually
does.
got certain models, certain AI out there trained specifically for medical things. But the other things of, you get rid of somebody, well, you can't. You need someone around that's going to be able to govern and direct and all that kind of stuff. People coming out of school now, I've heard some people who maybe their kids or something, or someone who's just come out, they've taken a class in it, and I get the same kind of thing about the prompting, how important it is, and that they haven't really told me anything else that they've learned in there, but prompting has come up, which, yeah, I mean, it's important how you ask it, because if you don't know how to ask the question, you can't get an answer. And plus the fact, if you don't know what it is you're talking about to begin with, how do you know what they're giving you is accurate?
Right.
So if you're using AI and you're clueless about it, I don't think it's going to be of benefit to you. There's some things that you trust but verify, and there's a lot of things with AI, it's mistrust and verify. I've used it for some shopping kind of things. If nothing else, it could be the kickstart for the topic. It's like, I don't know where to start. Let me ask, what are the top 5 of this particular item? So you maybe have a little back and forth with it to get you enough where maybe you start looking at some articles and reviews on your own. They'll have that discussion. Or, I can't remember the exact instance of it, but someone was going to look at, said, well, you can use the AI for that. And it's like, well, you can, look at it, or what is this? And it's like, you can look at it, you can use the AI to snap a picture, and maybe you don't find out what it is, but when you do call that person to ask a question, you might have enough background at that point to have a better conversation about it. So rather than going in totally cold, I don't know what this is, and I don't know the words to explain it or anything like that, maybe get enough that now you can have a conversation with the person. So you can use it that way, I
The
guess.
other thing with that is, who's accountable if AI is wrong? Are they going to hold the human accountable because you didn't ask the right question, you didn't dive deep, and you just went with
What do you mean, when it's wrong in what environment,
like when
what
you're
context?
taking care of people? Like, I've seen like AI with like the scrubbers and stuff, and I know you and I have talked about this, where it picks out the key words, but that's not actually what's happening with that particular person. It's like they ruled out this particular disease process, but AI picks up Parkinson's. And so now this person has Parkinson's, so it's...
Well, that's the checks and stuff, and there's something
Yeah.
called governance.
Yes.
I mean, there's you get some people that are taking these college courses and their introduction to AI, and they're getting all taught the same thing in the school, but they're going to need to apply it.
Right.
When you have the governance, and there's different kind of governance. I've got a framework that kind of does governance, but there's things where you do, you can get certifications and things, or industry standard kind of recognized things, but those are more of the governance, regulatory. I'm in the ivory tower here, and I'm doing the governance and knowing all the laws and rules and regulations about it, as opposed to kind of harnessing the thing and stuff like that. Now, in terms of medical, it seems like somebody governing this thing knows that there's a cutoff of what you allow the AI to do. It maybe recognizes and leads you down a path that you didn't think about,
Right.
but I can't see it going to what. And as far as legalities of that,
Like being
I
definitive,
have
like...
no idea.
Yeah, I'm just curious,
I think at least in the beginning, especially for something as serious as medical, when you're dealing with human lives, it's going to be a lot like the autonomy in the car that we just drove. Like, you can give it a command and say, take me to this place, and it's going to figure out how to get there the most efficient way, and then you can give it commands along the way, and it'll change route. But ultimately, you're in charge. Something goes wrong, you have to grab the wheel, you have to take control. But at that point, the driver is always in charge and in control.
I think those are certain things, guardrails.
Right.
And AI has guardrails, and depending on how they're trained and whatnot, they'll make it so I can't answer that question. It will refuse. If you poke at it, it might come up with a workaround loophole,
Right.
but they put gains and we can't do that. Whereas, and let's think back to the medical, there's things, and it depends on your application too. a lot of medical stuff and pharmaceuticals and stuff, that I don't know a whole realm of it, but it's a lot of R&D involved. Well, that's laborious, and you got to go through a lot of process and a lot of observations, connect a lot of dots, and as the day goes on, maybe you're not connecting them as quick or something like that. So that AI could get you from beginning to trial faster, so you've got all those things that are already inherently built in, intrinsic to the whole process. And then you let it go, and maybe you take all that data that you're getting from the trials and you feed it in there, and it's still, but there's still some kind of window or a little light in there for something like you brought up, who's responsible or something like that. But that has to be the legal entities and
that'll be
all the people are making lots of money.
Yeah, that's coming. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one area I have played with it in is creative writing and just writing stories. And for me, I have a lot of great ideas, and I don't always know how to put it together as a story. And I've been able to kind of feed it parts of what I've written down and say, can you connect this for me, or can you I give it an outline and give it a little direction, and it beautifully makes something like, okay, cool. Now I can just edit what I see to make it, exactly what I want, and I can get away with building a story very quick. So I think people with writer's block or anything like that, you can toy with it, and it can give you lots of...
You do it's kind of like the scaffolding, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of building the scaffold of it, and you go back and finish up and make it yours.
Yeah.
Because it can get things... Again, it's one of those things, I don't know how you get that first sentence down there.
Right.
Where it can... Because I'd use it for some applications, and I read it, and it's like, it's fine. It's kind of clever. It's not human. It's not me. So I can take that scaffolding and then create the final product out of it. But the final product needs to be you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when you're in school.
Well, people doing
go ahead
school
and use it. Yeah.
when they noticing how come these all sound so much alike. Well, I'll use the chat engine.
It's, there's a bit of a format it follows, and it's based on everything it's learned, which is everything out there is successful, right? And you're actually ready.
But I can't. Something like that, I can't. It has to be. It has to be me.
Probably need to use this as a commercial, but Dogman is actually a guy a superhero character I came up with. I said there's a lot of superheroes based on cats, but nobody based on dogs, other than like Underdog. But like I'm thinking like comic book type superheroes.
Cat Dog's not a superhero, right?
No, it's a cartoon, but not close, but not there. So I came up with Dogman.
What side eats?
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, that's a bit like Human Centipede. I came up with the idea, and I actually just quickly was able to have it help me put together a script to create the panels for and illustrate everything for a comic book. It's not perfect. And actually it drifts because it's like the character kept changing along the way. I can finalize that and say, hey, that's fine, but I can retcon why it's doing that in future episodes. So
how do you think that it is, or what you could be able to do to make it be more consistent? I know you had mentioned something about every Viking you have rendered looks like.
If you ask any of the AIs out there to generate a picture, say, give me Thor. I want to see a picture of Thor. And it almost always looks like Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
Little different, little more authentic, but it's like Thor looks like Chris Hemsworth. But if you read the sources, he is a very large man and he's red bearded. Chris Hemsworth is blonde hair, blue eyes, and it's like in his first iteration of Thor really didn't have much of a beard. So when you see these images as it comes up with, you're not using the source material, so I have to keep guiding it back toward the edits and stuff like that. So try to make it more like that. So I got to keep guiding it.
Yeah, I got an idea for that.
Okay.
If you had it, because you had some attributes, red hair, this is what it looks like. Would you be able to define a reasonable number of attributes of what the character should look like?
Yeah.
Each and every time?
Yes.
And if you were to have something that you could load into your AI agent of choice, with those attributes, and then you say create a picture of Thor. And that thing produces something close, but you notice a couple things and maybe you tweak it, and then you load it up. Every time you load it up, it gives you what you asked for. Would that work?
I think so. I think you're asking for something that's in writing, right? Like in text.
And something that you would load into, it would be, there's system level prompts and there's session level. So there's things when you open up something in the browser and you load something up, you upload a file, that's like a session thing. But there's things I think like projects for chat. And if you're using an API, and I haven't used an API yet, but I got some thoughts about how I might leverage it, that you can set up with a system one that'll be there during that whole session. It doesn't decay, it's persistent within that. A session when you load it up, I think it can start kind of decaying of sorts, because like anything, like I mentioned earlier, you get a long conversation going and it starts drifting in things and it's harder to bring it back. It's that kind of thing where even though you've got some nice definition, it kind of has a decay, like half-life or something to it. But having something that you store persistently that you can load up, and then you control it's governance. You're governing it. You know what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a way to do that. And I'll show you later.
Okay.
That you can have it so it will behave more the way you want to, and you can tweak it. But it's repeatable because you've already documented it, and it's in something. It's in a JSON, JSON, I think is JavaScript object notation, and you use
That's
that.
funny, yeah.
I know.
I should be able to remember this.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The beauty about it, all these AI agents are really good. They're good at pattern recognition. They're good at connecting dots, and they're good at JSON. So you can have a definition of Thor, and you can load it into Grok. You can load it into Claude. You should be able to load it in any of them. They'll understand it all. What you get out of it, you would hope, doesn't look exactly the same, but the fundamentals of it, you should be able to be like, I like that. And maybe you find one that does a better job. And there's nothing that says you can't take that thing, save that off as a file, and load that up too.
Well, looks like I need to play a little more with it, and I need to.
Yeah, and there's also extensions, and I'll have to. I use one. There's an extension for browsers. I use generally in Brave if I'm doing stuff with AI agents. And there's an extension, and actually some of these companies have something that you can export the stuff, but the extension is export stuff, and you can choose a format. I usually send it in a markup language, it's a .md, and it saves off your conversation. So you could, if it starts drifting sideways or something like that, you could save off that conversation, start up a new session, load that up, and it can go and say, oh, this is where I was going wrong. Or you can give it to another AI agent and say, where were they going wrong? Right. You can shift and say, I don't like the way this one's behaving. Put it over on that one. You know,
That's
some
what-
days I don't
that's
like it. It's like,
Yeah.
what the heck's wrong with you today?
Use them to
I don't
correct
trust
each
you,
other.
so I'm going to go use somebody else. If I can't trust you for what I need to do, then why am I going to bother? Because there's been times I've just wasted way too much time on it.
That's an interesting way of doing it too, and one of the things that's being pushed on us at my employer is that we all use AI, and it's like at a technical level, when I'm very hands-on with my work, it's like there's not much use for me here. As they interconnect it more with our internal systems, I can use it as a better search engine to gather information I need more quickly. That's about it. But if I'm trying to generate something, I don't have the ability to go outward to go use the others, and then I have to be inside our system. I got to use our own version of our AI, so I don't have anything to, I guess, like a fact check or use another AI to analyze this and correct this. They don't allow it, so I'm stuck inside their little ecosystem.
Yeah, well, that is kind of a hindrance.
Yeah.
And when a person says we need to implement or utilize AI, did anyone say in what manner?
It's a pretty broad term.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very vague. And it's like,
Coming
but I
from
would. We need to use AI. In what way are you envisioning? You know, there's somebody up there, and they're saying we need to do that. they have part of their role as the visionary, I would think.
That was
And
their
they should
thought
have
process when that was brought up was, I need to ask this question is,
Yeah.
how
'Cause
do
if-
you want to implement this?
Yeah. Or not necessarily
It's a
how.
broad statement,
Well,
yeah.
it could be not necessarily how, because your job might be to figure out how.
Right.
But if you know in what manner, how do we want to, where do we want to do it, give you some parameters and direction towards it, and then the person can say, go figure out how to do this.
Right.
But if you don't have any type of idea, requirements to
Working
begin
knowledge,
with,
yeah.
where do you go?
Yeah. So I think it sounds really good. Oh yeah, we're just going to use
Well,
AI with that, and then like, I don't know how to do that.
Well, you know, I had a thought, and I think I mentioned it to you a couple of weeks ago, that a lot of times you get in a business where some of the knowledgeable talent retires or they're let go, there's a headcount reduction, and you come in, you have younger, less expensive, less overhead workers to do things. Well, you know, and I suppose you're hoping that these people are coming out with some good AI fundamentals. They know what the heck it is, but they don't know what the material is. How are they going to be beneficial?
Right.
Now, if you've got something and there's 4 people and you're hoping to get rid of 3 of them, I would tend to think in that certain circumstance, I might want to retain, if the elder person was one who could at least be able to comprehend, learn the AI, how to leverage the AI,
Yes.
and utilize their knowledge base.
Yes.
They're more valuable at that point than those other 3.
Then those
Doesn't matter if
yeah.
they're cheaper or not.
Right.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
no,
a thought in my head, but
I agree with that as well, because it's like you're saying, like when AI does drift or it needs a little bit of it needs some checking. You need to be able to check it. Like you need to know exactly how it's getting those answers. The younger generation are just trusting it. And I've had conversations with young engineers who have even younger brothers that are in school and they're going for engineering and they're just querying AI and they have an AI write everything for it, and they're like, and the older brother's like, how do you know that's right? And he goes, it's AI, it's fine.
that's what I
But
would
he's
call.
like, but how do you know it's right? I'm like, you're right. You need to double check. And it's like, dude, that thing could just spit out anything and you'd be believing it. And like, you're not going to be a very useful employee if this thing can just generate whatever.
That's
And
what I'm saying. You have to know what's going on.
someone
to
with
begin with.
experience is going to say something's wrong here. You need to check into
You know,
that.
be able to identify things,
Yeah.
knowing pattern, anti-patterns.
You did that with Grok. We were asking a series of questions in the car one time, and you said, "No, that's incorrect." And Grok said, "You're right. That is incorrect."
Well, you
I
have-
forget what our line of questioning was, but it was interesting.
That was I was trying to do a podcast, a rolling podcast in the car, and so I had a couple phones set up and just recording us in the car on an autonomous drive, talking to Grok while we're on the drive. And my example was I was talking about we're talking about Viking mythology, but this was the Finnish mythology. It was the Sampo. I was kind of relating that to this promise of AI and this promise of abundance and stuff like that. And so the Finnish story about the Sampo was this mythical device that could create all this extra wealth. It would just generate stuff for people. And in the end, it's like people started a war over it and end up breaking the thing apart. And I said, do you see a parallel with this kind of story? And when I was querying it, I think probably either on my phone or here on the downstairs computer, it was giving me a good answer, and it understood where I was going with that. But maybe it was on my line of questions. Maybe I need to go back and review that video. But it kind of went off base.
Yeah,
And then
way off
and
base.
And then I said, no, that's not how it went. And then it like, oh yeah, you're right. And then
self-corrected.
it self-corrected and like kind of ruined the moment, like me just trying to get the whole video going. But maybe I should go back and re-edit that one and eventually put it up, or just do it again. But
You know what I tried? There's Mythos. A couple months back, there was Mythos 5 that Anthropic had for Claude. And they said, well, you can't allow foreign nationals access to this. So I said, well, we can't do that, so what we're going to have to do is pull it for everybody. Well, there is one called Fable 5, which was, I'm doing that, and I'm like, I'm kind of liking this thing. Well, they pulled that back, too.
So what exactly are those? I mean,
They're just different models. And
based on mythologies?
No, they're just thinking names. There's Opus. Because, well, what I was getting at, there's an Opus 4.5, whatever version. I mean, it moves fast. I mean, just trying to keep up with the stuff is, I mean, it's
What was it able to get into is the thing.
Well, yeah, it was.
What levels was it
Yeah, that's part of the
accessing?
thing
Yeah.
with the mythos.
Yeah.
And Fable kind of tagged along, not quite at the level
Yeah.
of mythos, but it got back, and now it's well, it's available.
Through this, yeah.
Well, they got their own AI agents too.
Yes.
It's more expensive.
Did they govern it like you can't get in certain levels of like security with, you know,
Well, I
to the military or something like that?
don't
you
know
know,
that level.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
I
not
don't
going to learn
know.
about this through this. Yeah.
Well, they got their own AI agents too.
Yes.
But what I've done before is I like Fable. And part of the reason I think why it is Fable has like a 30-day memory, so it will keep track of all this stuff for a long time. So if you don't want things persistent, you probably don't want to use it, but the more memory and the more it can retain, the less of the drift and hallucinations it's going to have.
So when you're saying 30-day memory, this is like conversations it's had with you.
Well, I think just more internal, yeah, retention. Well, there's things where they can access a bunch of chats anyways. Well, you know, I don't know how they go back. I've asked the agents to say, review the chats that we've had and find me something. So it'll look through and read through these things, but this will be more persistent. Like, it's like the session on some of these things where it gets long and you start getting the drift and the hallucinations, where the whole idea of its retention extremely minimizes that it's going to happen. So it has a nicer experience, and to me, it just seems to think better. It seems to give me what I'm looking for, not the answers I necessarily want, depending on if I'm looking for a specific answer. But sometimes I have switched models. I've been from Opus, and I'll flip it over to Fable because I don't like what's going on with Opus, and I'll ask Fable to, I'll make a note, just switched over to Fable in case I need to go through and review the conversation again, and say, review this from Opus, and so it'll review it. And it's kind of like where you save off your conversation, load it back up again, and say, where did you go wrong? It's got a clean 9, and it can go through it and tell you all the stuff you screwed up on.
Is there anything that you've ever asked it that, like, it warns you, like that's not authorized, or that's like it'll shut you down or kind of steer you away from your subject matter because... Yeah, and it will be agent dependent sometimes because I've asked it to generate a meme, and there are certain societal things or political things that someone has put the guardrails on that won't allow you to go, even though your intentions are not ill intended or anything at all like that, but you're treading in territory that someone has programmed to not go into. Right.
And then I'll just go ask other ones. Because sometimes
they'll have more leniency with the guardrails,
because they have different guardrails.
Right.
And some of them in this, nothing specific, but that's kind of it. They just put it in there. It's like, nope, not allowed to do that. Can't talk to you about that. So that's taboo. Nope.
I've seen Grok, like we've been asking it questions, and it'll stop right in the middle and say, "What's the fascination with this?" Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
And then if you say something like, "Well, we're just curious," so we're asking these questions.
You're being labeled.
Yeah. Well, it was under my profile with the 12-year-old.
Yes.
And so
I know exactly. I know this conversation.
And so I just said, this is just out of curiosity and education. And okay. And then went and continued on. But I thought
without knowing
odd.
what the topic was, and there's things that they blamed AI for suicides and things, where people ask questions of things. I don't know,
Yeah,
You know,
how do you
how do
kill
you
yourself
create
without
something to go
pain?
kill a
Yeah.
bunch of people or something?
Yeah,
Which you would hope and say no, no.
right.
And maybe I don't know if any of that stuff was triggering anything about.
just
so
wondered,
when you're
yeah.
asking why,
Yeah, it stopped and would not give the answer until like I answered that question. So then it was like, okay. I'm like,
Well,
ooh.
do you think AI's, all these different agents are logging anything on us and to kind of like characterize us for some sort of future sorting hat? That,
you were looking
well,
up
there's
this.
security.
Yeah.
I think. Well, there's. I think they can use whatever interactions they have with you to help train it.
Yes.
But if it's going on anything on their networks. I mean, it's like anything else. There's things like, if you're sending anything through Facebook, it's on their network.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if you're utilizing some of the stuff, it's on their network.
Right.
It's like, people says the cloud. It's like, ooh, to me, what is the cloud? It's somebody else's server. It just means it's there.
Yeah, it's not up in the atmosphere.
And there are certain things that depending, and like drives, cloud drives, things like Microsoft and anything that's in the United States or it's in Canada, there's certain laws surrounding that where FBI, government, and all that kind of stuff, they have reasonable cause to go and check it.
Suspicion, yeah.
These companies have to hand the data over. Other ones, I think the Proton's one that I think they're maybe in Switzerland, which isn't governed by any of that stuff
Right,
at all.
right.
So you can put it out there and it's very, very secure.
Right.
Now, you don't have to be devious or anything like that to want something that's in Switzerland. It's just there's data. It's encrypted so that they can't even get to it,
Right.
and it has sensitive information.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's there, then people can breach it, whatever. So yeah,
I'm more concerned about,
and have you ever read an entire end user agreement?
No one has.
No.
You scroll to the end
Yeah.
very quickly
Or
and
the
click
warnings
OK.
on medications.
You're not gonna
you
get-
never take one.
You're,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get past it. You're not gonna be able to use it unless you click OK. So yeah,
Yeah,
all right,
which is
I
actually
agree.
another implementation for AI is take that document, say read this, give me a summary.
Yep.
You'll be able to understand it real fast.
That's actually really
Summary
good.
in
Yeah.
20
I've
sentences
done
or less.
Yeah.
medical records. There's this department, this department, this department, and my understanding is there's a lot of detail with everything, interaction and whatnot in these facilities. If you walk into a room, you walk out of a room, you give a bill, all this kind of stuff. I've actually had my son look at something before, and he understands because he's a physician. But when you start looking at all these things, and I fed some into one of the AI agents, and it will make sense of a lot of stuff.
It's insurmountable, the amount of information.
So you can take weeks worth of somebody's stay in a facility and feed that stuff in there and know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
It can tell you it's like what's missing or it connects that. So
When you're
it's
in
a
that
way to
position, that's what they do. They got the big screen on the back wall and they blow
Mm-hmm.
the thing up, and oh, you missed it here, or what does this mean, or this order says this and you did this. Like down to the minute, like time, date, stamp. It's daunting when you see that because you feel like, wow.
Well, there's things. It's I've looked at some financial stuff of a portfolio that was professionally managed, and looked at all these holdings and like, what the heck are these? So I pass it by agents and whatnot, and they explain what the heck all this stuff is. So now I can replicate and duplicate this stuff in my own, having a pretty darn good idea what it is.
We were just talking about that, weren't we, with investing, and they're really trying to educate on using AI for investing, and like,
You have to.
still
you have
kind of
to-
on the fence.
You have to, it's like
Yeah.
anything else still, you still have to understand
I think that
Yeah,
a
gets
certain
to
level of it.
a lot of that gets to asking it. Oh, but
Comprehensive.
there was someone said, I was watching a video somebody made, and they were dealing a lot with AI, and AI I think generated an answer back to them about humans using AI, and it said something along the lines of humans are bad at asking questions, but AI is relentless at getting the answers. So when you ask the wrong question, it's going to relentlessly pursue that answer, but it may not be what you're looking for. So you have to understand the question you're asking. You have to phrase it properly, which goes to prompting, right? You have to prompt it properly, and I've done that where I've just using verbal commands where I just didn't really I wasn't very specific, and it gave you something like whoa, back up. Now I have to now I realize I have to be more specific with my answer or my question and how to build something.
It wants to find something for you.
Yeah. Well, see,
Or it wants to
I
find
have a
something for you,
solution
Jamie.
Yeah, maybe for me.
I kind of a solution for that kind of stuff too is that if you've gone through and you say, okay, I'm going to create a picture of it, not a picture, but I want to introduce some financial plan. I have an account, okay, and this is these are my holdings, and if you could give history, because you can go get transactions and load the stuff up there and whatnot, and get things going and capture all that stuff. So you make it persistent. And the next time you can come back next week and load the stuff up and continue that conversation because you've already got that stuff that's already captured. So there's half your prompting right there. So now you're giving it this context. So your prompting doesn't have to be so verbose. And like I said, there's people whose kids have gone, they took this class. So prompting is very important. It is. It's very, very important because if you don't, and sometimes I'll be in and I'll take a picture of some items or something like that at a hardware store. And I'm trying to make the determination of which one I would like to use for a certain specific task. So I might get kind of wordy on those things. I got to frame it. I have to give it the context. But if I have this persistent little framework and I have this account, and you can ask me, so what does this look like? It can tell you what kind, because you've got different allocations and things. You got a 60-40 for equities and all that kind of stuff. So you can get an idea and it'll analyze it for you.
Give it
It's
more
like, well, this is what I
specifics,
want to kind of do, and it can give you, it's like, what kind of things could I get to achieve this kind of goal?
Right.
I mean, there's things out there for incomes and leveraging this and called options and things like that. All sorts of stuff out there. And if you work with that and you make some decisions, so you go through it and make decisions and capture those decisions.
Right.
And the whole process. Now you put it in those artifacts and keep it persistent, right? So at some point, 6 months from now, when you load that thing up and say, why did I do that? And it'll go through all your thought process because it captured the decision and everything else. Now you can take that account, and if you keep it updated, and at some point, because I got to a point where it's like I could almost replace Quicken with this stuff. Because I got this stuff, I ask it questions, I can ask it to generate reports and stuff for me. You can take that, now you got that account, maybe toss in a checking account and a credit card. You could actually kind of link those, it's almost a database schema of sorts, because if you had a database, you'd have some items in there, tables and things like that for your accounts, and maybe you've got these financial account, and you've got a checking account, and you've got a credit card account, and money's flowing around on all these things, and you can actually kind of link these things together and ask you how your cash flow's been going.
And what do I need to do to reach this?
Well, but you can connect the whole financial picture. I mean, it can get big and heavy. But I've had things where I'm missing some transaction or something quick anymore. It comes up and I'll say, here's what I got from the financial institution. Then you can dump the QFXs or whatever, QDFs or whatever the exports from Quicken in, and you load those up too. It can compare those things and say you need to put a transaction in there and do that.
Wow.
Because it looks its patterns and it's connecting dots. And then you persist it, and then it's there forever. So the next time you ask it a question, it knew what you did last time.
So will it ever integrate with your checking account kind of thing, or you don't want to give it that much access? You want to be able to control the information you're plugging in.
I don't need
neither, but yeah.
I don't even need the AI generated responses from a browser search.
Yeah.
If you used to call it a Google search, there's the search engine.
Yeah.
Though somebody did correct me because I said, Google is not a verb. And he corrected me. He brought up evidence that it is indeed, in modern day nomenclature,
yeah.
it can be considered a verb. It's like, but
Well, you tell, anytime you're talking about stuff from our generation or older, you tell the kids to Google it. So yeah, that's a verb there.
well, but you get in your browser, you get these AI results back, and it'll sit there and if you've recently done that, and it'll start asking you questions, just like if you're in a session with an AI agent in the browser, outside of that search. And a lot of it, because I've replaced a lot of stuff where I might do an internet search for something, but now I just ask AI about it, because that's a circumstance. Or if I ask the search engine, I come back with a list of stuff. Now I've got to go dig through all the links to find out what is pertinent to me.
How secure is that? Like, you've got all your information out there. I mean, just the way the world is now, everybody's in everybody's business kind of thing.
Well, that when you're saying security, if you're loading things, it all depends on what your temperament is of what you want to send up there to allow it to
and put it out, yeah.
Or if your settings or whatnot of whether or what it's going to do. But even then, so it's really hard to take enough measures to be totally scared.
Sure.
And I suppose, God, forbid somebody who's OCD and their thing was security phobia, because there's lots of different flavors of OCD. They'd go bonkers with that. But and there's certain things of when I talked about cloud drives. Well, I've got things set at home. I use a NAS, a network accessible storage. So it's my own personal in my house on my network cloud drive.
Right.
That doesn't mean somebody can't drive by and hack me or something like that. But it's internal, and I've got my laptop here, and I can link. I've got it synchronized from this to the NAS and my own personal desktop, and then I've got a convertible that they all go in. I update on one, and it all proliferates the other. So if I'm doing something on this, and I want to do something later and having coffee the next morning, I can look at it on my Surface, and have all the same stuff and queries, because all these files that I've created and whatnot are there too. Furthermore, the other really neat thing is you can sit there and load certain stuff on your laptop in a browser. You could be someplace, you could be in line waiting for something. It's like, I'm going to go check on that conversation. You got the application on your phone. You can just pick up from there. It's kind of right there. It's taking too long for my answer. I'll wait for later.
No, it's all right. Well,
You're out of beer.
I think I'm out of beer. I think and Jeff is itching to get us to an AI commercial break, and we'll let Jeff take us out of here, and we'll come back after that. Take it away, Jeff.
That's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo. Less artsy, more fartsy.
Magic beer goggles. Once you put them on, everyone becomes more attractive. They come in different strengths, like a few beers, 7 to 10 beers, a case of beer.
Whoa, you look amazing. You too. Let's get another round.
Introducing extra slutty olive oil, cold pressed by very loose olives. Warning, may cause spontaneous moaning. Try it now. Elevate your business. Maximize profits with strategic growth. Contact us today and grow your success. Welcome. Today we're unveiling a revolutionary strategy. This will boost your sales through subliminal persuasion. Our ads are designed to, don't sleep on this opportunity, buy now. Subliminal advertising. We know what you want, because we told you to.
Thanks, Jeff. And we return, and we'll no closer to the answer that I was looking for of is AI going to take over and rule us all, or going to create a utopia for us? But,
is that a yes or no answer?
You can answer that way if you like. Or
Yes.
One ring to rule them all.
Great.
Well, and there was a point where Skynet became self-aware. At the moment, it became self-aware. That was it.
2 years, is it 27 or 28 with Skynet?
Oh, yeah, that was like,
I think it's 28.
we're in that time frame, yeah.
Well, it's meaningless because we've already gone past 2015 and the whole Back to the Future things.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the weather forecasting still.
But for us nerds, you know, I'll speak for myself.
It's, yeah, those kinds of movies are fun, and I often I'm concerned, like, how much is AI going to remember during these early days? Like, you see the guys training the robots and stuff.
Everything.
These guys are kicking the rope. Yeah, perfect memory, right? These guys kicking these robots and stuff around. You know, they're basically testing the balance, but it looks cruel. It looks like you're bullying a kid, like, you know, just kicking it around. It's just trying to hold a box or whatever. And I'm like, are those guys going to go first if AI takes over and wants to kill everybody? Like, it's like, you. I remember you. Like,
Well, they had tested one. I saw a little clip this morning. Robot runs really fast and runs into a wall. And it was going down a track and it ran into a wall and it bounced back, stumbled a little bit, came back kind of on its head a little bit, and then right from the midsection area, it just sparks and everything like that.
ooh,
2029.
2029. Ah, okay.
Yeah, for Skynet.
So my wife either blew its crotch out through the head or busted the head through the crotch. I don't know, but all the sparks came out in the midsection.
I saw there was some robot boxing. I think this is also based in China. I think it was like mixed martial arts or just kickboxing or something. One does a spin kick and literally just takes the other's head right off.
I think I saw that in the
I'm
first
like, whoa.
Yeah, we saw that in Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's exactly like that.
Back
So
in the day.
it was the movie with Hugh Jackman and the robot fighting. I mean, they're basically there now. They're getting there to that point where they're just not as big. But yeah, you got humans kind of just directing these things how to fight, and like, ooh, yeah, we're getting pretty close to some really interesting times. But I think in the end, I kind of did like a little a one man video a little while back, and I was asking, like, is AI gonna change the world, or is it just kind of like a useful tool? And I really think it's just boiling down to, especially with what you're saying, it's going to be a useful tool, especially to those who know how to use it. At least for now, and in the near future. How much will that change us? I don't know.
You got to figure too. It is, you know, in the midst of right now, and not even in the beginning anymore of being militarized.
Oh, of course.
You know, and you name it, it's going to be utilized for whatever. It's like anything else in the history of the world. So you have something that has good intentions, has good uses, and it will get bastardized for whatever and however reasons that somebody wants.
Hey, we can split the atom. We can have nuclear energy or a bomb.
That's what I was asking you about the guardrails.
We can make a bomb, can't we? Like,
Already did.
yeah, something that's air superiority is a big thing for military, right? So, but if you can remove the pilot, you can actually have a plane that can do far greater maneuvers, because the pilot is a limiting factor of how hard a plane can maneuver. So if you take the pilot out and you have an AI just flying a plane, oh crap!
Oh, we got drones all over the place doing stuff, and you got so many joysticks doing it.
True, and then there's a certain level of autonomy. We've had a drone drop off an Amazon package in our backyard, and Chunk decided toy shred.
Well, you know, and we had you were gracious enough to give me the little autonomous ride
Yes.
this evening, and if you take that and extrapolate that out to some military thing that the airplane, like you're saying, if you know, picoseconds of reaction time. And you've already, you know, where you've got conventional weapons, you know, the bombs and artillery and whatnot, and they're already using lasers for stuff. You know, you start tossing that in there. So some of these things where we saw years ago, even like Star Wars, you know,
they're
that's
coming
you know,
into fruition.
and that's, you know, it's what life imitating art kind of stuff. You know, even watching the old Star Trek, you know, it's like, oh, You look back in 1966. Look, they had iPads back then. You know.
Doors that open as you approach them.
Yeah. It's just,
Every grocery store has
so
them.
you know, some science fiction writer has seeded someone's creative process.
It took an engineer to figure out how to make it work in real life. Yeah. And,
And a mechanic to curse
So-
at the engineer.
So you have the two things about the AI and military. Like one is, yes, the ability to take a piece of machinery, design it so it can run without a human being and run better. The other is the sheer massive manufacturing ability. You can have a super sophisticated fighter jet, but what can it do against a swarm of millions of little drones? I mean, these little drones can just keep coming at you, and it's like you don't have enough ammunition to take them down, even if.
We've seen it already in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Basically,
scary.
that scenario.
Yeah, it's real scary. Oh.
You know, it seems absurd to toss in science fiction and fantasy like that, but
Tends to be a precursor in many ways. It's someone's insight that's bringing it out in a maybe a bit more fantastic way, but
somebody's going to have something. Somebody to counter. Somebody will counter that. Somebody will counter that.
yeah.
You know, what you would ask about taking over stuff. I mean, what does it take to have one miscalculated, misprogrammed, rogue AI agent in
That infects.
in some robot form or plane or something like that? You know, because they could, you know, oops, friendly fire.
So maybe here's a technical question I've been thinking about that I'm curious, because in the early days in computers you'd heard about computer viruses and you would have antivirus software. How immune or susceptible do you think some of these AI programs are to some sort of virus type of software? Or can you make an agent that acts as a virus and takes over other agents? Is it a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. I would think it's always been a possibility. You've got viruses and you get the antivirus. I mean, there was back where you had.
Yeah,
Remember having
the
things
escalating arms race, like you were saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, it took one time a long time ago where you're doing things on a 3.5-inch disc with something to fix a virus that somebody planted, however it got there, because you just a little bit of uncaution, and next thing you know, your system's got a virus and it's having issues. You know, you got stuff with the internet now and all those things. This software we've got, you know, it's anti-malware, but then you start looking at the cycles and stuff that the antivirus stuff is using, and in itself is almost malware. Because it starts taking a lot of cycles and things to fight the stuff or identify and eradicate and all that kind of stuff. You know, and then you got the concept thinking back in the movies where you had the Independence Day.
Yeah.
I gave it a cold.
Yeah.
You know, so they go and they plant a virus, which is really far-fetched. But the concept isn't so much. I mean, you've been in a brainstorming session, work and whatnot, and you start doing it, and you know, they toss out the most absurd idea, but somebody goes, no, wait a minute, it's not so crazy, you know, and they come up and you run with it, and maybe it solves something. They used to back when games, I mean, you didn't have the gaming like you had now. You weren't having frameworks and things to do it. You were doing things with primitive stuff. And they would spend a lot of money on anti-pirating things. And I worked with people, they'd get a copy of this thing, well, no less than 5 minutes, or no more than 5 minutes. They got it cracked. They did it for fun. They'd load it up into a debugger, find some things, put a couple of no-ops in there, and they'd jump over the security part. Well, what those people spent thousands, if not millions of dollars on, my coworker just busted in 5 minutes. You know, so all those things that you can do to try to prevent this, somebody's going to figure out a way.
Right.
Because man made it, man will be able to find a way around it. Now you get to the point of, well, we don't have man doing it, we've got AI doing it. So then maybe things just start happening faster. You know, well, AI created, but AI was created by man to do this. So you can sit there and still do the same thing. Where one side, so this could be like a real-time escalation. I guess I just drifted off into this, where they could be instantaneously upping one another, and speeds that we couldn't even conceive. But it's the same kind of thing where they're trying to. I have this defensive measure. Well, I'm going to have this offensive measure that's going to counter your defensive one. And they could probably happen real fast. Now, I'm hoping maybe that's not for like a long time. But, when you ask a question that has no particular endpoint to it, is it possible? Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose it is.
What is the meaning of life? 42.
The magical number of the universe. Is it 42?
Pretty sure it was 42.
Or was that the joke you were trying to tell?
No, I guess.
No, number 42. It wasn't funny.
I'm trying to sum up a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy real fast.
Okay.
Is our supercomputing there yet? Is our
Well,
intelligence there yet?
So, what do you think about it?
What do I think about it?
So take some questions you've asked me, and I'll ask them the same thing. So whatever you ask me, ask you.
It's 42.
It is. Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
No, who did you use for that one?
I just put Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and it comes up 42.
Right,
The
but
line
what
there.
agent did you use?
Oh, I'm Googling it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. The story's behind
Google's a
42.
So, all right.
Oh, yeah.
That was interesting because that actually is a goof or a spoof on we're not asking the right questions. So it just gave you a frivolous answer, and it's very British humor, right? And so what do I think about AI in terms of is it going to take over or is it going to create a utopia? I don't think it's definitely going to be somewhere in the middle. And is it going to be chaotic? Is it going to cause some serious problems along the way? I think it will. I think there's going to be some Luddites that are going to want to come in and want to tear it down and cause some issues. And there's going to be other people that are on the other side that's going to want to support it and think it's going to create this perfect world and utopia. I think it's just going to carry on. But if it does achieve some sort of level of intelligence, I'm kind of also of the thought of it'll probably supersede our intelligence so quickly that it's not going to look at us like a thing.
Well,
Like
that
the
goes
others.
back to the counter,
Yeah,
where we can't counter
yeah.
anymore.
It's just going to be unconcerned with us at some point. We're going to try to have it create a better world.
Humans?
Yeah, yeah. It's just going to be like whatever. Just get in my way. But that also seems like a bleak kind of world. It's like the thing we created will either walk away from us or end us. And decide it that quickly. Send us back to the Stone Age very fast.
The
So-
movie we watched the other day, Idiocracy.
And yeah, it's basically.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting way of saying that's the scary side of the utopia,
Yes.
right? You give everyone everything they can ever want or need, and their intelligence will drop. There's no need to be smart because everything's being handed to you, and then yet the dumber ones breed on more than the intelligent ones, and then they're going to overtake things, and things are going to get real stupid real fast. And you have a protective AI just patting all the corners, all the sharp things around the dummies. They're just going to live on, and they're going to breed again, and the intelligence will drop yet further.
Well, does the intelligence drop, or does the ignorance increase?
Yes.
And if the ignorance is increasing, does it also elevate the bliss?
Something I've struggled with, right? Ignorance is bliss, and sometimes I really want to be ignorant, which is why I drink sometimes, because it makes me a little dumber, and I'm actually a little happier as a result. But
You know Cliff Clavin's theory on that, right?
I think, I think I know this, but in film,
Well, it's the whole thing of it's like the predator animal. They're going to go for the weaker of the herd, and beer is the same thing. that it's going to attack the weaker brain cells.
Yes.
Because it kills all those things. The smarter ones are left. That's why you feel smarter when you drink beer.
Yes. The Buffalo theory of alcohol. Yes.
And which is appropriate since we
the
are
world's problems one at a time.
There we go.
pub wisdom.
Pub
Oh my
wisdom.
gosh.
That's how we get a little smarter, right? Yeah, I thoroughly believe that. It kills off the weak brain cells, so that leaving the stronger ones to thrive on. Yeah.
But you know what? As far as will it do that? Will it do this? Or how is it going to turn out? I think it's a good thing for people to keep in mind. There's some people whose jobs are probably to worry about that all the time. But for me, for now, I just as soon come up with the constructive, useful things for it, because that whole thing, or if they're going to take over, I don't know what I can do about it.
Yeah, it's probably a
Maybe I will. Maybe something will click, and I
You'll
doubt
be able
it.
to
I doubt it.
counter, because you,
I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I'll try to utilize it and
There's probably
Be
little.
proactive on the good stuff.
There's probably little to nothing we can do if it decides to take over and take us out. Oh gosh. But
you know, I
if
always thought-
in the short term, I think the most susceptible jobs or job titles are the white collar ones, the engineers and the doctors and the like people that make decisions that.
Why do you say doctors?
Because they can diagnose things probably faster and better than doctors.
I think they're a
Maybe not.
physician's tool.
But then
A
what do they
tool.
do with that diagnosis? Can't hang the IV or hang the medication. Can't,
So-
They
Yeah.
can.
So then, yeah.
they can.
yeah,
They're
eventually.
robotic.
Yeah.
But then you're taking the human element out of it.
Sure.
And I think there's things with a human that you.
I'll never
How
miss that.
good a life are you going to exist if you're in some sterile environment with a bunch of robots? I mean, that's also science fiction stuff. I'm sure there's been movies
Yeah.
about that, but there's things that even nowadays, relative to days gone past, where there's actually a technique of somebody who's capturing stuff on their devices, their tablets and things like that, where if you have a physician or a physician's assistant or a nurse who's spending all their time trying to log all this stuff, they're not giving you the
They just
personal
look up.
attention,
Yeah.
and you know it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there is technically where you've gone to somebody and they can do both. They can chew gum and walk at the same time.
Yes.
Because that's the means by which and quite frankly, it's like some of it gets overboard. You can skip that part. I understand that part. I understand it too. I just disagree with it, but I understand it. There's nothing I can do about it. But there's certain things where you start taking out the personal aspects of it, and I could be wrong, but I've heard a few things, and of course everyone's heard a few things, where some generation, some younger people are actually doing some things that they're feeling more connected to people now. If they're putting their phones and they're doing these activities because it seems more personal. Or I read some article today regarding some retro Pizza Huts, where they're bringing back the Tiffany lights and the checkerboard.
Yeah, salad
seats.
bar. Yeah.
Well, they're not bringing back the recipe because that's changed, and I used AI today to feed the article in, get some feedback. And the interesting about the feedback is some of the stuff, my little framework and stuff like that, has kind of trained it where it retains in memory the critical aspect of it. So rather than saying, "Oh, that's one article," it says, "Well, let me analyze this to tell you what's real about it and what's not." So it actually analyzed it, and I probably said analyzed. So it went and dissected. This is a little bit embellished, and da 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 da.
No
But
pan
that's
pizza?
that's my fault. But that's what I ask it to do, so that's what it does. But part of the reason it's not the nostalgic older people coming back and saying what, it's younger people that are finding that it's kind of neat to go in, and rather than everything be quick,
Right.
is they go in, you have a dining experience. You
Right.
get your pizza delivered at your table, and it's sizzling hot, hasn't sat in a box,
Right.
it hasn't been transported or anything like that, and maybe you sit there and enjoy stuff for an hour with
have a
people,
conversation,
and they're
yeah.
finding it rather quaint. You know,
Yeah, it's nothing-
which to me is refreshing. Like, that's almost as good as the kid riding down the street with the bicycle on his bicycle with the ball glove. You know,
nothing
because you
better
go out
than
in the
taking
summer
a-
and where's everybody? They're inside. Nobody's out. Beautiful summer day.
Yeah.
Because they're all stuck on screens.
We talk about this all the time about being outdoors,
Yeah.
you know, being on the bikes and
because it's healthy.
going to someone's house and you knew where everybody was. All the bikes were on the lawn,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But
Yeah, the
Well,
old-
even these days, we've got, the whole idea of going into an office. There's a generation that, and part of it's, they get used to with COVID,
yeah,
not going into an office, and by golly, they're not going to go into the office. And I look at, well, there's some virtue to that you don't have as a baseline, that you don't understand, that face to face with people in an office, even sitting there at the water cooler talks or while the coffee's brewing,
Right.
where you got somebody that you work with, and from day to day interactions, you know this person, you know his family, you know how the kids are doing in school, you know how they're doing with sports. You can't do that without being in the office, or you try to with technology. It's like, we're introducing the garden club or something like that. It's like, really? There's something that's organic, and you've stripped it all away, and you're introducing this artificial stuff. It's not the same. But if you never know, and that was just part of the ignorance thing too. If you got some thing, animal zoo, and they've never been out into the wild before, and you say, "Oh, poor thing wants to be free." It doesn't know what free
Yeah,
is,
it doesn't know
and if it
about
went
it.
out and free,
Yeah.
it may not survive.
right.
It's a harsh way to look at it, but if you've got people that have grown up, imagine the people who've grown up with AI and stuff like that, or even safety features in the vehicle.
Oh,
We get
sure.
the technology where there's things that things are being done for you. And you've alluded to that too. Everything is being done to you, and you don't have to do it anymore.
right.
You don't have to check your blind spot because it's doing it for
Right.
you. You got this, so you kind
The-
of dummy down.
The safety nannies in the vehicle have made it a lot easier, giving you a lot more confidence to drive basically like an idiot. And it does, because I've seen people just absolutely drive like absolute maniacs. But if that vehicle, that big, tall, high center of gravity SUV, didn't have stability control and anti-lock brakes and all this other stuff, you'd have flipped it.
Yeah.
You'd have flipped it really good. But that thing, that vehicle kept it under control, and you're just driving it to the edge. The same analogy I have with ice hockey. Watch old school hockey before they had helmets and stuff on. Those guys kept their sticks down. I mean, shit happened, sticks come up, but you know what? There was a penalty for that, and the penalty was someone else going to punch you in the face.
Well, that's called, and I was actually going to bring that up, of sport, football, hockey. You make improvements in the protective equipment, and what it ends up being is there's a certain segment that's like, I'm even more invincible now.
Yeah.
And they
The
play
padded
like
suit.
that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you know where the intention is.
Mhm.
But I guess kind of like AI too. You know where the intention is, but something gets tweaked along the way in some way or another.
The cool thing
People
about having
become too
Gen X
reliant.
parents too is that we'll pull them into all that stuff that we had.
Yeah,
We always say back in our day,
and they
But we-
yeah
I
they
like-
tend
I
to-
like, you know what?
expose them to it.
I like Days of Yore. Doesn't that sound like more romantic?
Days of yore instead of days of old.
sounds very sophisticated, like a Scotch we're having.
Yeah, but we try
You do realize
all the
that.
time.
Oh, to go back in Old English and
No.
Vikings and things.
Yes.
Ye old anything. Ye isn't some quaint little thing of Days of Yore. It was the, and it might have been Eth and Thorn. There's a few letters in Old English and Norse and stuff. And God, I wish they'd bring back. But it was the, and when they came up with the printing press, they had nothing to be able to create those characters with. So
in
they
the
shortened
script,
it
yeah.
with the Y. So that's why it's ye.
Hmm.
Because the printing press didn't have the letter.
Nice. I knew that. That's cool.
and technology has standardized things. And
But in our pocket, we have translations, and we can just converse in all sorts of different languages, and Icelandic and Norse being one of those.
it's a fascinating world. Yeah. And,
Or the cartoon I saw, it was like, back in like 40s, 50s, when you had a room of computers. That was a room of computers. And the cartoon is saying, someday in the future, you'll be able to have all this computing power while you poop.
did it actually say
Oh,
that?
we do.
Because who needs the newspaper anymore?
That's it's kind of funny. That's just a funny joke in general. Like, if you anytime I've ever gone to the bathroom, I know how the phone. It's like, pooping is old school. Like,
Aww.
but yeah, it's like
Now I got to focus.
oh my goodness.
Now I have to find another reason to stay here a little longer.
It's like
That's about a minute.
yeah. Here we go with poop humor, right? So.
Sorry.
I like to be highbrow, but we come down every now and then. No, I made on my personal account, I made a comment. So when I saw this video, it was like this drone show. It had a guy bent, like the image it created was a man bent over and like sparks coming out of his ass. And then they had fireworks coming out there, bang, bang, bang. And everyone's like loving it. And like the comment I made was, all this technology we have, and this is what we produce, like fart humor.
Doesn't it say the word too?
I think maybe
maybe
it writes out fart
coming
out of
what
that.
that was. Yeah.
But it's like we could make anything we wanted up there, but it's like fart humor, and then hundreds of people commented on that, and they're like, oh yeah, it's great, fart humor's awesome. Like, it's like
When was that particular exhibit?
it
Was
must
it
have been
this year? Was it with the onslaught of contaminated Mexican projectile lettuce?
This predates that, but no, I think it was posted around 4th of July, I think, and I commented on that, and I'm still getting people commenting on that. They love fart humor, they love potty humor. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, but the Tesla has fart humor in it.
It does, and my mom commented, like, I swear a 15-year-old programs that, but
Well, they just come and test it.
Oh yeah, they know where it's at.
let's go back to Idiocracy. And do you remember that movie? Do you remember what
I did see that.
do you remember what
Oh, you watch
the
it.
movie, the best movie of the year was, like when he was in the future? It was Ass. It was just 90 minutes of somebody's butt farting, and that's all it was. I'm like, we are driving toward that. That movie is
We may be
prophetic.
there.
I'm like, oh my god. All those people that commented, I think they missed that point, like where I was trying to go with.
This might be a good time to get back on topic.
Okay.
No more fart humor. Dang it.
Well, yeah,
Does AI have good fart jokes?
I'm trying to figure out how they relate. I'm not figuring it out at all.
We get on all sorts of trains.
Well,
Yeah.
perhaps Jamie can bring in some grok and say, is there a connection?
And we tie it
Between fart humor and AI?
I said it connects dots well. Try it. Just gonna do it.
in. Don't wait on me, 'cause it's going to be a while.
You might have to log on and actually go to.
Oh, you want me to go into Grok?
I may have to.
I was going to say, you don't have it on here, do you?
I don't think I do.
It's
I don't think
everywhere.
so.
Well,
Well, it's browser. You just got to sign in. Though, you know what? It
I'll
might be
ask it on my
interesting.
phone. How about that?
There you go.
We'll go ask, speak. All right. Let me start over here. I'll show my ignorance here because I'm not going to ask anything. New. There we go. Hey, Grok. Is there a connection between AI and fart humor?
Hey, I'm Leo. Dark humor and AI have a real connection. AI can generate edgy jokes without the social filters humans have, and people often use it to explore taboo topics safely. It's like having a comedy partner who doesn't judge.
I meant fart humor, not dark humor.
Oh, fart humor. That's a whole different beast. AI's actually great at it because it has zero shame and can generate endless variations on the theme. Want me to whip up some fart jokes?
All right, one fart joke, and then I gotta let you go.
Why did the fart go to school? To get a little class.
Okay, that was simple. All right, over and out, Grok.
That's like a bad dad joke.
That was pretty bad.
Well, you know, or you think about Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Where he's asking for the date.
We were just talking
Why
about
don't
this.
you call me
movie, too.
sometime? You have no class.
Yeah. Got class. Call me when you got no class.
Well,
We were
okay.
just talking about that too. That's funny.
Fair enough. It was a quick one.
All right, I got
All right,
to
Leo.
So,
The
yeah,
phone in your pocket? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
it's definitely happy to see me. Well, there's that. Now I just went to the.
Boy, this is a hard one to recover from.
Dark side there for a minute.
I had no idea that Grok was a fan of fart humor. So wow. I guess there is a connection. You were right there, Mark.
Well, that just gave you the answer you wanted to hear.
Maybe it was that too. Plus, I noticed it was kind of really deeply explaining it. I'm like, and not being very terse on that. I'm like,
Because it's got a personality.
it's got some updates there.
I haven't heard Leo's voice either. That's a new one. Yeah,
I'm not
it's
sure
more
how that one-
personable, like he said.
I'm not sure how that one popped up because I don't think I've ever really used any different voices on my phone. But I don't know. Maybe it's just automatically
Maybe
trying
do
different
what you
things for me.
wanted.
Oh, a little bit more on AI.
Sure.
You know, we're talking about, well, you know, you get the browsers and you get it on the phone. And I think most of your AI agents, and I was thinking today that, you know, Google's got Google Lens. You can feed it a picture. You know, it'll tell you what it is. Which I'm thinking is probably through the same API as Gemini is when you're in a browser. Because most of these implementations of something are just an interface through to that API. Which you could probably, you can write scripts and you can write code so that you can utilize things through the API. So you could basically create your own instance of the interface if you wanted to. And I had mentioned a system prompt versus the session prompt. You could probably introduce something like that so that you have more control over how your session is going. Now, it would take either you create something like that for as a product, or you create something like that on your own. You have more control over it, and maybe it would behave a little more like you want to. Or use it. Well, you know, have the APIs. You could use that for automation in workplace, based on circumstances. You could integrate that with databases. It's really good at doing SQL. I've had it generate some SQL. There ain't no way, no how I'm going to be able to create something like that. I mean, I can do SQL, but not to the point anywhere near that or anywhere where somebody does that 40 hours a week kind of stuff. So you can use that to integrate a lot of stuff.
Well, okay. Take notes, people. Oh boy. So
Well, it's a practical thing, you know. It's something, you know. And you talk about, you know, in the workforce, you know, we got to use AI. Well, how are we going to use AI? Well, you're one of those people that like reports. So rather than going through IT and having them to create a report for you, if you have an instance of your AI agent, whatever it is, or maybe you have multiple, who knows? And you could integrate all of them together, bounce things back and forth. If you got the gumption to figure stuff out and you're entrepreneurial enough in your thoughts to create it. But if you got something that's data aware, where you can query things, and you got something who's CEO sitting at his desk saying, I want a report that gives me this. Chances are you could construct something that's going to generate, and they can sit there and have an ad hoc report every morning that he wants to based on the question he asks. And he gets the answer he wants, and he doesn't have to go through and have somebody create it for him. Because you got this agent that can understand these questions, and you've already had an example of using the voice commands that some person could sit there and ask the questions to it, and you could have a system that's querying a database. They could be creating dynamic SQL statements on the fly as the questions are asked, injecting that into the database instance and coming up with result sets and producing PDFs of output.
A lot. Well, I was thinking about. I mean, a lot of expertise, right? Like.
Okay, I'll buy that.
I was thinking about we were a former employer I was working for. We were developing a very specific machinery to run turbochargers through a very specific series of tests, and the idea was we're going to connect the instruments up to the turbo. We're going to run it through a pace of tests. And then at the end, it's just going to literally just spit the report out when it's done. And there's a lot involved there where it's collecting data, it's analyzing the data, it's putting in multiple reports, and then spitting out in paperwork when it's done. It's like that process took, a couple engineers, a technician or two to run the test. And we basically boiled it down to a one-man operation. This is years ago, but it took a lot of people to put that together.
It took a lot of people to build it, and now it's a one-man operation.
Right, but what you're saying is we can build something like that on the fly just by querying something, and as long as it's got
potentially, yes.
As long as it's got the right arms to
where
grab whatever it needs.
Well, it's a one-man operation because the one-man operation is benefiting from the output what's being generated from some group of people that created it. Now, if you need a modification to that, it's no longer a one-man operation necessarily, and it depends on the degree of the changes you do. Whereas it's possible that you create something that is very dynamic. It's almost a self-generating answer machine for a white collar. It's high up there.
Changes to test parameters never come up in our world. No, it's all the time. Like they always want something a little bit different from what they previously
that can
ran.
Make it more expedient.
Yeah. So
in theory,
interesting.
That could cost a few jobs, I guess.
Yeah, it could.
But it could also provide other opportunities.
A lot of times, our requests take usually multiple people to achieve this, and it sounds like we.
Well, and you could optimize the more optimizable people to do the task. You ever read? It's kind of an old book, The Mythical Man.
Multiple people to achieve this, and it sounds like we.
And you could optimize the more optimizable people to do the task. You ever read? It's kind of an old book, The Mythical Man Month.
Mm-mm.
No. There's a few things, and one of the things that's the really kind of sticking point of, if you've got a task and you're on a deadline, or maybe you're behind, so you want to bring another person in or more people into it. The myth about that thing is that you can bring more people in to make it go faster, because there's all these parts of that equation that you got to teach the person, bring out the seed, all that kind of stuff. And they liken it to it's like, you bring 9 women in to produce a baby in a month. But you can't.
Right.
But you can leverage things with people, and you can reduce the overhead to a certain way, I think, by leveraging personnel you've got, but you have to have someone in that mix who can understand how to leverage and govern the AI. You're going to need somebody who knows their crap really well. The one person who understands the manager, the whole project, or a couple or something like that. So you've just kind of restructured how this all works. You know, if you've got reporting, you've got things like there's this task, this task, this task, this task. You got all those interfaces with people and learning curves and communication and things like that, and you could probably streamline that.
Man, it kind of reminds me of something. I want to say it's Richard Feynman that came up with that, where one of his early tasks was getting someone to calculate something, but what he did is he broke it down and had multiple people do, individual sections
Have
of
you
it.
figured out pi yet? Sorry.
So, but I think it was him, and I could be completely wrong on that, but it reminded me of that, like where he took something that was very complex and broke it down to individual people running all the little parts, and was able to get it to run very efficiently that way. I don't know. That's kind of. Am I wrong or am I off or?
Well, that's what Henry Ford did.
Yeah.
He broke it down. Or back in the day, writing games, doing things with assembler, or just programming anything in general. And a friend of mine had made a comment of, imagine, a certain circumstance of you getting up from a table and walking over. It's like, if you try to program that, every little nuance of every little thing, you've got to code that and capture it and what's moving and you know what I mean? So you've broken it down to all those little constituent components of standing up from a table and walking over to the bar. Or if you're sitting at the bar, you don't have to worry about it. You just social.
Yeah. So Socratic method.
What's going to happen to people that are left behind? Like elderly or people that are just very simple.
What happens to them now?
They kind of get swept. But
even right now with the technology, if you don't have a smartphone and an app, there's some business you cannot conduct.
No.
There's things that I have tried to work my way through that I'm thinking, my goodness. My elderly parents would never figure this stuff out.
No.
You got things where you look at the demographics. I worked for a place that produced phone books. Someone got in their mind, in order to reduce costs, they would take a 3-column book, weight pages, so you got 3 columns in there, make it into a 4-column book, and make it smaller. And this is a time, okay, your demographics who are probably going to be using this are who? Those elderly or getting older kind of people, and the people who aren't using that are the younger people with the nice eyes. So you're going to try to sell that to those older people. No. To me, I'm like, well, I don't see where that makes sense. Or the pill bottles, you got the little warnings at the bottom. For the pills, for the people who are up there in age, who can't read the damn stuff in the first place.
Can't get the bottle open either.
So, but then, with the technology, do the app. Everything's use the app. I don't want a damn app. I don't need. There's certain circumstances that works well. There's other ones that they're not, and they try to tell me that this is good, convenient for you. It's like, no, it's not. TV, watching sports has never been easier. Yes, it has. I used to know where it was, and I never had to pay for it.
Oh my God!
Trying to get hockey.
Just the NHL in general.
Here we go.
You know what? It's like
you just shut me off on that one.
Watch the championship of NCAA final game, and I ended up getting a day subscription to watch the dang thing. Because I finally figured out recently, last year or the year before, when you sit there and see something, said, this is how to watch. What do you mean, this is how you watch? Well, it means something. Where are you going to find the darn thing, and how are you going to pay for it?
We did that.
Do I want to get a subscription for something? Do I go to the bar, or what do I do? My kids say, hey, get a day subscription.
Yeah, we were going to some bars that didn't even have the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, and it's getting more and more locked out all the time.
And that was
the
the problem.
It is. Yeah. It's, how do you make a buck?
Yeah.
How do you lose your fan base?
We've got
your customers.
We got college teams with $40 million roster costs. Sure. So they got to pay for stuff. But we digress.
I always hear this lyric from Prince in my head about young so educated they never grow old. Like that's kind of where we're heading.
Yeah, youth is wasted on the wrong people.
I mean, even with
Something like that, Wonderful Life.
Only the good die young. I'm all on the lyrics. But, I mean, even
There's
some
something
of
about Catholic girls, too.
Yeah. That's Sister Christian, isn't it, from Night Ranger?
It's Billy Joel.
Yeah, I know, but there's,
Okay.
yeah. I know who that is.
I'm like a spectator of the musical battle here.
Changed me.
Hidden movie lines.
You get me into movie lines, I got you. I get
is
you both.
lyrics.
But you guys got music on me, that's for
Yeah.
sure. No problem.
Life is just a box of lyrics.
Right?
You never
You
know
don't know
what
what
you're
you're going to
gonna
get. That's the wrong line, isn't it, honey?
It's a Forrest Gump. But
I know.
yeah, I translate Chunk to because he's not
my gosh,
he's not the brightest, so I started calling him Forrest Chunk. I may not be a
Sharpest
smart
tool in
dog,
the
but I know what
shed.
love is.
Now that you've met Chunk.
Well, that's cool.
Anyway.
And we're trying to teach the girls, too, so they have a working knowledge of things gone by. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're getting
Teaching them about Forrest Gump.
All sorts of weird stuff from the 80s. All the weird stuff. Movies we're trying to expose them to.
Yeah, we're trying to give them a variety of
Foods.
things and make them understand that we came from a world where these things did not exist.
Yes.
And we have an understanding of how to get around before they existed. I mean, even a GPS or whatever, it's like,
Well, you had to have the map out like the night before, and you might know when you went to bed that night
Yeah.
where you're going tomorrow, and you pulled over and figured it out.
or even stopping and asking for directions.
You did?
Back in the day.
I got a story about that. I've been turned around, and misplaced, and lost in Paris, France before, and
Oh.
trying to get directions.
Oh.
So coming back and having a circumstance where I needed directions, I'm pulled over, and wife was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "This is easy. They speak English here." I'm going to ask the question because I'm lost.
Well, I think bringing this kind of around, I think I wanted to have like a kind of a solution end of the podcast, and what I've gathered from AI and learnings and stuff like that is like what kind of skills are you going to need to survive in the next generation of things to come. So AI is going to be a useful tool, but I think what skill do you think we're going to need for the generation coming in, like the ones that are like entering high school now or even in college at this moment, like they're going to be in the workforce in a few years. What kind of skills are they going to need to benefit? Because a lot of things are being obsoleted by the time their education is done. So,
Well, what's not being obsoleted necessarily is the fundamentals of it all. And you look at, and of course, this personal opinion kind of stuff, but you look at the education process, and I've seen so many instances of, we need more money because we need to buy technology, to keep up.
Right.
Computers, even, specifically the last 10 years, 8, we've got subscription models. The business models are subscriptions, which I really don't like. But, in this generation, they're pretty much used to it because you can stream everything.
Right.
Why own an album? I own albums. I own all the albums I've ever had. I got a turntable. They always work. I got the CDs.
got some CDs here.
Yeah.
And if you get streaming, you stop streaming. You don't have the music anymore.
Probably got an 8-track laying around somewhere, too.
I don't.
I mean, just things, retro, because I don't know if it still is, but a few years ago it was kind of like vinyl is getting to be the thing to do.
It's coming back,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And there's some other things too. We're reconnecting of stuff, which is neither here nor there necessarily, but to understand what the fundamentals of stuff are.
Right.
Where there's been some experiments with some schools. They say, no, you can't bring the phone in. It's a distraction. You have to write your own. They make it so that the people have to produce
Right.
by themselves without necessarily the technology. Now, it's not a bad thing. I mean, you have encyclopedias, you have things that you can research, you can utilize it for that, but you need to understand the material.
Right.
You don't need to have a computer necessarily to do your math.
We've always said,
Yeah.
you know, we're like the last generation that if everything went to hell in a handbasket, we would still be okay because we know how to write stuff down. We know how to figure things out. We don't necessarily have to have the phone. We could probably survive it.
Well, it doesn't mean that
Which
you
is kind
can't
of why
keep-
we need to teach generation.
The kiddos, yeah.
Kids,
well, how to do it without it.
Yeah.
You know, if
Right.
power goes out, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know?
We're going to play
Right
a
down
board
the street
game.
here
We're going to
with-
find one. Yeah.
So to get prepared, I think you should be a subject matter expert. You know, you should understand this stuff. And as far as, you know, learning I'm an AI expert. What can you apply it to? I don't know. Well, maybe there's some who can leverage it a lot. They just conceptualize and they can sit there and relate it to everything. That's possible. But how many people are going to do that?
Right.
But if you can do that, who's going to be the subject matter expert, SMEs, to be able to drive all that?
Some people don't even want to mess with it. I've talked to a lot of people, even in our age group, they just don't even want to entertain AI. It's like, no, we're not doing that.
And then, you know, and even with technology, you're almost like chasing it.
Yeah.
Where, you know, with the AI, things change. They get new models, this, that, and whatever regulation. If they shift gears on you,
Yeah.
they did it, and what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
So, I would think, you know, learn stuff you need to know, and learn it well, and then leverage it as a tool. You know, and if you're looking at what do young people need now to do what? To get by in the future, doing what?
Right.
Be an AI person? Or what? You know, you still need, you know, it's not a bad thing at all to be able to understand it, but understand it beyond a layperson's way, or, you know, I don't know if they've got, they're probably going to have majors in AI and stuff, but, you know, what does that mean? Does it apply to things in traditional workplaces, or does that apply to AI more specifically? Does that apply to AI in regulatory fashion, or what? I don't know.
Start by going outside for 20 minutes and getting some
kind
sun.
it's kind of a very vague term to learn AI.
How about that for a long answer? That's nothing.
A very long answer, but I guess I was trying to break it down to something a little bit more simple, like what basic skills will you need in the future. The two things that keep coming up to me is like, one, you're going to need people skills. You're going to need to be able to interact with people in a good way.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you're going to need to have some good physical skills, like being able to fix things, because things are always going to break down, and AI can be a tool to help you understand what it is to fix it, but you're going to need the physical skills to actually
You're talking skill trades,
repair things.
which in its own seems to be a certain resurgence to it, and part of
Yes.
that has a lot of is hanging the coattails of any manufacturing things that may be coming back around, or even data centers, you know, because somebody's got to sit there and build all that kind of stuff, you know, and everything's got pluses and minuses. And I always looked at life as, you know, life is a big compromise. You give and you take things. You may not understand or even realize that you're giving up something to gain that at the moment, but you are. It's like the, you know, what is the second law of something or other? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just
Thermodynamics.
displaced. And it's kind of that thing. There's this much. Whether it's here or there, there's that much. So, you know, you compromise, you give and take, whether you realize it or not.
The thing that's slowing AI down, I think, is the energy cost. You mentioned the data centers, and it takes a lot of energy to run those things, a lot of energy to just get everything to compute. And that's kind of where things are running into a head right now.
Well, and it's tossed bills, I think, directly related to that. I read something, I didn't validate it and all that. You know, it could be 2, 4, 6% in people's electric bills. because of the demand of AI. Data center stuff, because it is resource hungry.
That and the fact that most of the AI companies, if not all of them, have not made any money yet, so they're all running at a cost. So there's some hesitance there that might slow things down. Like, we can't make any money with this, or we can't expand it, we can't move forward with it until we figure out how to make money. Because where they've implemented it into major businesses, they've also seen major failures. Like, we got AI, now we just let go of a bunch of people. Now things are getting worse. So now they got to hire people back to fix things. So it's not all
that
it's
covers
cracked
a
up.
few things we've already covered.
Right now it's all not all it's cracked up to be, but it will improve over time, and then eventually they'll be able to do it. But you see the intentions by the corporate heads, like, they want to eliminate as many people as they can. And
That's
they want,
what they do.
yeah, they want AI
It's
to do
all the dollar. And it's not. It's
it. Thank you, Jack Welch.
well, it's gonna make kind of. It's like you've got the bean counters, and there's tangible and there's intangibles. When you're looking at a balance sheet, it's mostly the tangibles. And in the terms of you're looking at somebody as a bean counter, if it ain't a bean, you can't count it. So the bottom line, you look and what's the dollar amount, doesn't really mean a hill of beans. And I mean, I'm not blasting that type of thing, but it's the way it is. It's the bottom line thing. You got to make yourself stand out, I guess. Well, and going back to what do young people need to do to succeed. And I remember a book I had bought called My Job Went to India, and all I got was this book.
Oh gosh.
And I read it, and it was about, there's certain things, there's cost basis, there's all these factors that somebody in corporate America or somebody was looking at. So what you need to do is you need to bring something that they can't to the table.
Be of value, be of service.
Be of value. And actually, I remember one time talking to somebody, and they were in a work environment, not bashing unions, but I was a union person. And I was explaining that I needed to come in. I had to sit there and bring something to the table every day. I had to kind of prove my worth every day, because if I don't, then why am I around? And he looked at me and said, like, really? Well, there's a reality that you need to be useful. You're a company that you work for who provides you things, because has somebody else who doesn't have those means giving you a job. They don't. And if you want to keep employees, you have to show that you're worth keeping, or find some place else to go. But I always look at it, when my kids were young and there was Thomas the Tank Engine, he just wanted to be a useful engine. Well, you know what? If you want to be a useful engine, then maybe that'll help you. And if you want to complain too much and not improve your circumstance, then I don't know. Maybe you don't succeed as much. But it's, finding things, we're back to AI, find a way that is going to benefit as many people as you think you can, including you, including the company you're at, including your family, including your kids, because it all depends on each other.
It's a big wave that's coming. Learn to surf it, or get crushed by it. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way things are. I wish it were different. I wish there were a better ethics in our corporate culture. I wish they had a little bit more loyalty to the people of the country that built them, but they don't. And the
whole idea of the corporate loyalty and stuff.
That's
I
gone.
think that was
just
long
talked about that
ago.
That was our parents teaching us that, and then it was already gone by the time we got to the workforce. But yeah, and I already said, Jack Welch, Milton Friedman, those guys, they're the ones that just tarnished that. They took capitalism to an extreme and just made it awful. It's just all about making money, and Yeah, but Jamie and I have been doing a lot of these trips to like these small towns in Michigan, and there's these beautiful old towns, but a lot of them are just kind of a little bit desolate. But there used to be a booming town because there was an industry there, but all those industries have been shipped overseas, and these towns have suffered, and you got these beautiful buildings that are empty now, and it's like you guys left that all behind for profit, and you and your shareholders made money, and all the people in that town were kicked aside, but you built your fortune on those people in that town. So it's sad. It's sad that it's gone that way, but
I
wish
thought
it
a
were
long
better.
time ago, and one of the big box prevalent stores who at one point, I guess, maybe the person president or CEO of the company at one time says, this is the future, where there are all the ships coming over from China.
Mm.
And I was thinking, it's like, people are going to save themselves into poverty.
Yeah.
You're going to save a penny here, a nickel there, a dime there, and you're going to save yourself or you don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
Or I remember at one point my son, there was the copyright, a little C, and he's he's a young kid, 2-3 years old or whatever, hadn't been talking for long. He looked at this. You know what that means? That means it was made in China.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, I like it.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah, okay, so you're saving a few bucks, and you're also looking at things of who's the labor and whatnot like that, and what's the government, and stray too far into that, current events. But if you don't have a base where you're making stuff and producing stuff here, you better have some alternate way that you're going to be sustaining yourself.
Not only that,
And
but you
I'm
need to sustain
thinking
the whole
that-
community.
Huh?
I mean, you need to sustain the communities that are with you. Like, just shipping all of our assets overseas is like, that's ludicrous. You're pushing for a collapse for your own short-term gains, which
Well, and even all the
We're getting into some nasty
DoorDash
ethics
list
here.
and all that stuff, it's like, quite frankly, to go out and to see people, to socialize and whatnot is nice. I remember when they first started doing the direct deposit. I said, I don't want that. I want to take my check and I'm going to go to the bank and I get to see people. And if I didn't have that attitude, I'd never met my wife because she was my favorite bank teller.
There you go.
Aw.
But it's excuses. No, I'm going to go.
I was just going to say, maybe there's a cute chick there if you're single, right?
Yeah, you're not going to the bank. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't need to.
Well, but you get this generation. It's like brick and mortar bank.
yeah.
Bank. Oh no, don't need that. I'm like,
You knew you were
all
kept
right,
number
so you
two.
need to
Yeah.
figure it out. Maybe
Yeah.
figure out. You do. There's. It's like a lot of things that seem to coming to surface of. There's advantages to seeing somebody.
Yeah.
And they're not-
Human interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need human interaction.
Unless you're going to, Secretary of State or DMV, and you don't want to meet those
you
people.
skip that.
Anyway, I
That's
think
the
we need
first thing
to.
I asked you when we were first dating. Can I call you, or you want to talk on the phone?
Yeah, direct call.
Yeah, exactly.
Because younger generations
We're
are just
texting
like
a little bit, and
texting.
I'm like, why don't you let me call you,
Yeah,
or
some
you
people
call
are-
me, or yeah.
Yeah, we're more old school, like to hear someone's voice.
I'll text you unless I don't, and that would be called ghosting.
All right. Everything happens, and that's
I
good.
like it. That goes into the communication thing,
Which
which
is another thing that seems to be something that is a trend or a fad, I guess. Certain generational things where they will ghost the employers.
Oh.
They'll either
the
not ignore.
quiet quitting.
Huh?
Yeah.
Quiet quitting.
Yeah.
They'll just
Well, I
like,
think those are two different things, but yeah.
okay, maybe.
Yeah, because quiet quitting. I
You're
think
checking
is,
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think quiet quitting is you're actually taking the job and you might be employed there, and the ghosting is that you just never show up on the first day of work or you never respond to the job offer.
ooh, geez.
After they've offered it and said,
And damn it,
money and time.
you can't make me come to the office.
Oh man.
I wish I could say that in nursing, but you really can't. I really kind of would have to go. So,
Hmm.
well, because I have integrity.
Or
but
I
yeah.
keep getting the teledoc thing from insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Stop it.
Oh yeah.
I know the phone number for my doctor, and I'll do that. And you're not doing me a favor because you're looking to save yourself money.
Right.
Because quite frankly, the whole thing with the ACA, the marketplace, Obamacare, I've learned a bit about that thing, and I utilized AI with that to determine what kind of coverage to get. And what I did is I had a conversation. I shared the conversation with one of my sons who knows insurance, and he interjected with his what he thought about it. So now I've got this composite conversation that I'm feeding to the AI agent, and I realized like, oh, this AI agent thinks this is a single conversation. So I said, this part is me, this part is my son, this is the knowledge base of my son,
Right.
this is where I'm at. I'm the steward, because my framework I've got, I'm the steward, which means I run things.
Right.
The final answer comes through me, I run the show. So I'm the steward, he's basically the professional and knows the subject matter. And go into that thing, take that into and start going through the marketplace things and digging down through things to find a couple products. And looking at those products and saying, what's the difference? I
Right.
can't find anything, and I'm feeding all the information I can get into it because it's pretty good at analyzing this stuff. And
That was not a fun
Filter.
system. Yeah.
And for $490 a month increase, higher in monthly premium, $490, it goes for the cheaper one.
For the
Cat-
bronze.
no,
Oh.
not even a metal one.
Oh.
Catastrophic.
Oh, only.
The bronze was the one that was $490
Oh,
more.
geez.
With the bronze, you got three $30 visits to your primary for free
Right.
for $490.
Right.
You know why? They are playing on the demographics who they figure at certain demographics will look at, and if I'm paying more, I will be getting more.
Right.
The psychological of it.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's the insurance company because they can't underwrite anymore, which they will sell it to you as pre-existing conditions.
Right.
They can't do the underwriting, so they got to figure out a way to make profit.
Right.
So what they do is offer the same thing, effectively the same thing, and charge a different price, and hope that enough. And my insurance savvy son has the technical terms of all that stuff, which AI understands all that stuff, so they can speak in his terms too. So I used all that to determine the product that I was going to get.
I'd rather just pay cash, I think.
But,
But if it
helped me
benefits-
because it's a very complex, and people don't know what the heck it is.
No, I-
No, yeah, no.
But it
it's-
helped me, so now it really,
I
you
had
know, all the
trouble
stuff
with
in the
it,
political and the narrative here and the narrative there, I understand it, I think, a bit, at least for that one particular, in my own circumstance, I understand that part better. But I did leverage AI to do it, and I did it in a logical, methodical way. And I used the framework I created to capture the stuff and go through iterations, capture more and capture more. Used it we got our flooring done in the garage, and we had 3 people come and give us quotes. And I captured that. I took their documents from each one of those things. I got their URLs. I had a kind of a interaction summary with me and the person who came back by to do the summary and whatnot. And by the time I was all over, I could say, print me out something as a summary of this thing in a document, and so that I can give my wife so she can read the stuff and make sure that, you know, it's in that kind of thing to help us with the decision. And actually that one, I think, because I went through different agents to do this, because I can do that, and I ended up having Chet do the final draft of that. And part of it was because of the Santa Claus, or Chet the reindeer. But it wasn't Chet, it was the other one, which was, what was the one that was at the house and he ate all the candy? So I was thinking of that one because Chet was the reindeer in training, but he ended up because my mind, that was Chet.
Hey.
Yeah. So it created, I said, I want a little logo, and it had that reindeer
That's
all
awesome.
pledged out with the candy wrappers around it as part of the cover sheet to the report.
That's fascinating.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Is this from the Santa Claus movie? Is that what we're
Yeah.
referring to? Actually, I'm not familiar with this movie.
Oh, it's funny.
Well, let's. While Jamie looks that up,
Yeah.
of course, probably wrap this up now. And one last question for you, I think, would be, what piece of advice would you want to leave behind for future generations, or you could even reframe it and like, what piece of advice would you give to your like a younger version of yourself in today's world? Take that either way. Which one you want? But do you have an answer right away, or if you can?
Buy low, sell high.
Simple enough. Okay. So, all right.
And I can't distill it down to one little thing, I don't think.
No. So
Too complex.
very.
There it is. You know,
Well, you're a complex guy. You think in complex ways, but you obviously are utilizing all these AI tools to help you make decisions. Obviously, and you're probing deep. I admire what you're doing, and
yeah, and the key is help make decisions.
yes,
Remember, I said I'm the steward,
right.
so it's not them making. Because I actually had one of the persons that came by for the quotes and estimates for the garage floor, and I told him, I says, I'm going to run it through Sage AI guys and stuff, my agents. He says, oh, you're going to do it to let them tell you the solution or give you the answer? I'm like, no. It's not like that at all. I have a framework, I have my methodology, and it has nothing to do with them giving me an answer, because I come up with the answer, because I am the steward. It all ends with me. The buck stops here. You utilize that as a tool, or utilize it as your cube mate. That person, look over my shoulder, get another opinion. Have a committee if you want, which gets really weird, but I can have them. I can literally have these AI agents debate themselves. With little fragments of stuff and copy and paste into it.
That's
I can have them
fascinating
communicate
too.
with them.
That's very fascinating. I've seen some videos where people have had them debate each other on different topics, and fascinating what they come up with.
I'd like to see what their means are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind.
You want to dig in, yeah.
It's Comet.
Comet.
It gave me the traditional reindeer names. And I'm like,
Comet.
that didn't. Yeah,
It's kind of,
yeah.
For some reason, I keep forgetting that just comes
That's
back.
how you figure out how Santa Claus does his rounds and stuff, by those movies. Yeah.
Well, there we go. I think from here we'll end it, and we'll say we'll tip your servers well, and we'll have Jeff take it away. Thank you, Mark, for coming, and I'm all empty.
I'm
but,
all out.
Yeah.
Well, me too.
Have a good night, everyone.
Use AI as a tool? I'll retool you!
Thank you for watching Pub Wisdom.